We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Rob.
And I'm Paul, and you're listening. Wait a minute. That's not right.
I just wanted to see if people would switch us up for once.
Cool. All right. Well, anyways, this is episode number 301. Regardless of who we are glad that you're spending a few minutes of your very busy day with us. We appreciate it just intensely. I'm not just saying that. I really appreciate the people that listen to this podcast.
So, Rob, I think it's time after 300 episodes we be ourselves.
You think so?
Yeah, it's time to take off that bald wig.
No more facade.
No more.
I've been wanting to show my fro off for 300 episodes. I don't have a fro. I wish I had a fro.
You know, secretly, Rob is a bodybuilder.
Like with clay? What do you mean?
Oh, you know, Rob, today's question comes from... It sounds like someone who's actually a little angry.
Yeah.
A little angry.
I was trying to think of something similar to being hungry and angry, the whole hangry thing, but I can't think of anything that fits this.
He's hangry for information?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's taking hangry a little too far.
Yeah, probably is. But anyways, you know what? We want to give them what they want. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, you know when I'm quiet?
I can't watch everything I say, Paul.
I know. Well, you know when I get quiet, I just want to have inappropriate jokes, but I can't do that on this family-friendly show.
I am so proud of you that the filter is working. Because
it took 300 episodes.
Your mind just went boing, 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 boing. Let me out. And you didn't.
Oh,
Very proud of you, Paul.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I guess we better stop beating around the bush and get right into today's question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay, Rob.
Please, question, John.
All right, play
Mr.
the question.
Producer.
Hi, this is the Houston Minion, Todd. I just listened to your recent podcast where a person asked a bunch of real estate questions, and I've listened to like an infinity of podcasts about real estate questions. Yet, that you say in the beginning you're going to talk about the settings on the camera, and most podcasts I listen to, they never talk about what the ISO settings are, what the shutter settings are, what polarizing filters they're using. We need the technical information. We've heard how much you charge, like an infinity amount of times. We need something technical about the camera and the settings that you use.
Rob, why haven't you given everyone the camera settings?
I don't feel like it, Paul. What I want to talk about today
is... Well,
you're
such an experienced pilot that you should be giving everyone your camera settings.
I'm still not sure what to charge people. So I think we should talk pricing.
Well, before you go into pricing, I've got a present for you.
Infinity means we have more room to talk about it.
That is true. I got something for you. Are you ready?
Don't do it, Paul.
Hey.
Can't look.
Don't get too excited, okay?
Put that away, Paul.
I think he's just a perfect example of a guy who's excited about drones. That's
Absolutely. Todd, we're going to take care of this for you. That's the bottom line.
That's what she said. And we are going to take care of it for you. So that being said, I guess I should just go into the settings. And if you are listening on Podomatic, if you're listening on Stitcher, Overcast, iTunes, wherever you're listening, you can go on YouTube and actually watch us go over the camera settings. So if you have your Phantom nearby, you got your Inspire nearby, you can actually watch me go through all of this. And you can see my camera settings.
But everybody, keep in mind that these settings are going to vary on so many variables, in regards to the lighting, the sun, the time of day, how the house is set up, how big the rooms are, right? I mean, I think all of these things are probably going to play into this.
So I'm going to put you on the spot because we're going to take this systematically. What is the worst time of the day to film?
Right in the middle of the day when the sun's the biggest and heaviest and highest and brightest.
Check. All right, that's good. All right, here. So we're gonna go over these camera settings. Yes, things change all the time in New Mexico and Colorado, especially where we are. Things can change in 5 minutes, but normally when I set my camera settings, I set them and I go. Can you have fully independent control of your ISO, your shutter speed, and your exposure on an Inspire 1 X3?
Yes.
Wrong.
No.
Good answer.
I have no
Good
freaking
answer.
idea, Paul.
Good answer. Well, you haven't given out your camera settings, so I'm just,
That's because I'm waiting for you to give them out so that I can set my non-existent.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll just get into the dang camera settings. So if you can see my screen here, that is my Y6 that I just tapped exposure on.
So set this up for us. You're setting these settings with what assumptions?
Okay, well, first of all, the settings that I'm using do not work where if you're looking at the screen right now, the settings that I have right here are not going to work because this is an Inspire 1 that I have set up to film outdoors.
What do you mean they're not going to work?
Like right now, okay, hold on. Right now, my ISO is 800 and my shutter speed is 30 and my exposure value is 0. And if I were filming inside, I would want this to be a lot brighter.
Okay.
This would not look very good. This would look like doggy doo-doo. Just wouldn't look good. It'd be like smeared everywhere. It's not good. Anyway, sorry, I had to get my David Boggs on. Anyway, that being said, my settings are really made for outdoors, and not only that, I have a neutral density filter on my Inspire. I always keep one on.
Okay.
I keep the stock one on for most shoots when it's not like full sunny outside. A lesson I learned as a mistake is that with Polar Pro, their filters for the GoPro. Remember when we first started with Polar Pro, we were using the GoPro filters. And my favorite filter was the ND16 and polarizing filter. But the polarizing filters or the combination with the Inspire suck.
Okay.
I mean, they're doo-doo.
So good for GoPro, not for Inspire. And we're talking the X3 right now.
Yes.
Or does it not matter? X3, X5, either way.
I haven't had the opportunity to test the X5,
Okay.
so I honestly don't know.
Okay.
That being said, I love Polar Pro's neutral density filters, the ND16 and the ND32. The key point here is to not mix the polarizer and the neutral density. Here's why. Your sky is supposed to be blue, right?
Right.
Well, it's only going to be blue right here in the middle.
And then what, gray outside of that?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Producer John can back me up on this. He knows what I'm talking about. That's why we use just the neutral density filter. So I normally shoot with the ND16. If it's really, really bright outside, I use the ND32. For most of you that don't live in the Southwest, though, the ND16 will be plenty. So, all right, let's go into my camera settings. I know that talking about pricing is boring everyone, so let's get right into it. Here's my video settings. Video 4K, 30 frames per second. Obviously, it's the 3840, not the 4096. Do you know why? Do you know why I have this like this?
I have no idea.
Because
I bet you're gonna tell us.
I can only shoot 24 frames per second if I go 4096 by 2160.
Okay.
And when you're flying a camera through the sky, that shutter speed or that frames per second is way too slow.
Right.
Your footage looks like doo-doo. So I'm going to go back to 4K 30 frames per second, which also works better for the American style system. You know, if you're in Europe, you use 25 and like 50 frames per second instead of, 30, 60. So it's a little different. Anyway, so if I go back into my settings, video size, 4K 30, video format, MOV, NTSC, my white balance. Now, normally, all right, here's my dirty white little secret. Normally, I just use auto white balance.
Really?
What
would Vic think about that?
Vic would hate me for saying that.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I thought.
but here's the thing.
So does John.
John is a regular videographer. He's not an aerial guy, so it's okay. You can set your custom white balance here. 5600 normally represents, sunlight. I normally keep mine on auto.
Why do you use auto? Because you don't think it makes that big of a difference to set it more precisely?
Actually, it does make a big difference. If you're doing like really complex reveals, you want to make sure your white balance is fixed. You don't want your white balance shifting on you. So don't, just because I leave mine on auto all the time, I wouldn't do that. I normally shoot the same stuff pretty regularly in the same areas.
But obviously it works for you to use auto.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And some videographers be like, oh, I can't believe he's saying that right now. Oh, my gosh.
And yet you're selling footage and
for a pretty good price.
Not cheaply, shall we say. Okay, so if you were not going to use auto, what would you use? You said you threw out 5600. Is that
custom? Yeah, custom. So, I mean, again, this is
Depends,
inside.
yeah.
And obviously, look at our walls. They're just way too yellow. We got to make them, more actual kind of tone down to the color.
So really, well, I don't know. I mean, is it something that you just need to kind of play with in your particular circumstances? And
well, yeah, it also depends on, what style are you shooting? Are you trying to get, a super washed out look? Are you trying to get a video look? Are you trying to get a film look? Like, what are you going for?
Sure.
So that's why when we sat down and we talked about this question before we recorded, and John and I were yelling at each other saying, well, you change it all the time. Like,
right.
It's never, your settings are never always the same. And for all of you that fly drones and you haven't had a real big background in videography, have comfort. Drone U's got a course coming up actually getting taught by that guy, not by me. I only do the aerial videography. So John he has his degree in this, and he's going to be teaching everyone all about that, which I'm really excited about. Here's the settings that everyone bugs me about. Here is the gold. Literally, this is probably my most valuable information. Anyway, style. So style, you have contrast, saturation, and sharpness.
Okay.
It's actually sharpness, contrast, saturation, though, if you're looking at my screen right now. So reading from left to right, sharpness, contrast, saturation. I have my sharpness at 0 because I hate the aliasing that comes out of this camera, or the moire, whatever you want to call it. And my contrast, I have +1. And my saturation, I have +2 because it makes color grading and editing after the fact easier, especially when I'm on the fly.
Okay.
Now, here's the kicker. Remember that TV show I worked for?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the director of photography?
I do.
The big famous guy who worked on Horrible Bosses and about 200 other movies. Name of David Hennings. So these are the settings I set with David Hennings, and I haven't changed them since I worked on set.
What do you mean? You worked with him to get something that he was happy with? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I spent a day with him on set, and we were flying around in the area and setting things, looking at footage, setting it, looking at footage, and this is what we came up with. And
cool.
I trust his eye significantly because he's been in the industry for like 35 years, and I mean he's like an A-lister when it comes to working on set.
Cool.
So, and he kind of took me under his wing and really helped me out, and honestly, just a really cool guy.
So what about ISO?
So, well, hey, there's Tim. So that's the thing. So you got to remember, you don't have full control on the Inspire 1 X3. You don't have full ISO set control. You don't have full shutter control. Even if I go to manual mode and I move my shutter speed over to 200 and I try to move this down, see, it moves my exposure value.
Yeah.
So I don't have true control. I normally leave this in auto. Unless I'm trying to get a very specific shutter speed, I normally leave this in auto. Just because when you're filming, this is just from my experience, when you're filming, if you set your settings, like if I go in and I set my shutter speed, okay, well, I'm going to follow the rule of 2 over my frame rate, so I'm going to keep it at 60, my shutter speed 1 over 60. The thing is, my ISO right now is 2500.
Okay.
Which means my image, and I can even see it on my phone here, is super grainy.
Right.
It's very noisy, as they would call it. So again, trying to set this for inside when we normally shoot outside is difficult. So I literally, most of the time, leave my camera in auto, not shutter, not manual.
Right.
Because here's the thing. You really want to, when I'm flying, I'm focused on keeping my shutter speed low. If my shutter speed is too high, like 1 over 2500, 1 over 3000, 1 over 1200, your footage is literally going to look like it's clipping. I mean, it's like you're looking at something and it's like this.
Yeah. It's hard to watch. It's distracting. It's really distracting.
It is. So anyway, the way that you organically bring the shutter speed down and have more ability to control the camera is with the neutral density filter. Now, if I took this neutral density filter off, I'm sure our interior would look much better. I'm sure our ISO would go down to like 400. Our shutter speed would probably stay the same. But the biggest things that I'm adjusting in the field when it comes to my camera settings is my exposure value on the wheel. So if I move my exposure value up, see now it's super, what's the word here, overexposed. Now if I move my shutter or exposure value down, it's super dark.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yep.
So normally when I'm out in the field, I'm leaving my camera in auto. I've got a neutral density filter on, like an ND16. And when I'm flying around, I normally fly around looking the 2 or 3 directions according to the sun and just set my exposure value. I set it and I leave it for that flight.
Okay, so how much can you rely on the picture that you're getting from your screen when you're setting settings?
This is why I don't use an iPad.
Okay.
I don't like the iPad. I don't think you actually have the full dynamic color range.
Right.
It's glary. You really can't tell what you're shooting. So that's why I really love the Black Pearl monitor.
Okay.
FlySight Black Pearl monitor.
So if you've got the FlySight, then you're feeling pretty good about what that screen's telling you about your settings.
Yes.
And what you're getting out of those.
So now here's the thing though, when you have your Black Pearl on, you can't adjust all these settings. So normally what I do is I put my iPad or my iPhone on the remote, take off, fly around, set my settings, unplug the iPad, put the Black Pearl on.
Okay.
So
you got to do the work to get it right.
Yeah.
Because, that's tedious. You're going to use a battery, but it's worth it to get the right.
And I still normally shoot on that first battery, too.
Okay.
So the thing is, though, is that once I set this, I set it and forget it. I mean, I really do.
For that shoot.
Yeah. So unless, the clouds roll over, then
Sure.
you've got to change everything. Let's say that the sun is peeking over a mountain and you're getting a shadow. Yeah, you've got to change things up. But one thing I will tell this guy, the biggest mistake I see new videographers doing, especially with drone work, is they're not lighting the house properly. I know they're like, well, I'm flying in the middle of the day. Why would I need to light the house? You want to light the house.
I love the, funny guy voice. Anyway,
you want to light the house. You always want to have the exterior lights on. I'm gonna have Drone U buy me a light bar for my car because seriously, it would light up an entire house. And I'm not just trying to look cool, like I've got some police light bar in my car. No, I want a light bar.
That's good because it doesn't look that cool. Go ahead.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. I got your shirt right over here, by the way. So if you haven't seen that shirt, check out the YouTube video because you will die. Anyway, the light bar would literally light up the front of the house. And the best photos, and we learned this from Vic, are, bracketing photos, high dynamic resolution, HDR. It's when you're taking photos at different exposures and you stack all of those photos on top of one another in Photoshop. It's like what Colin Smith puts out on the Phantom 4 page almost every single day. Like, look at this 20 shot HDR photo. It's like, that's cool, but it's just total overkill for most jobs.
So one of the things Todd the Minion didn't tell us is what kind of camera he's using.
That's a good question.
Because we've talked specifically about the Inspire and the X3, right?
So just so you know, too, my settings on the Phantom 3 are the exact same because my Phantom 3 is my backup to my i1, and it's also my close proximity vehicle. Okay. A lot of people don't know what that means. If I'm going to fly through a tree to reveal a house, I'm not flying the i1, I'm flying the P3. Got it. And most people can't even tell the difference between the two.
Right. Okay. So, what about one when he goes inside? I mean, so for example, you might use your Sony. You're using the Osmo a lot more. Is the Osmo going to be set up similarly?
Osmo is my go-to in interior filming vehicle.
And how are the settings going to differ on the Osmo? Same. A lot of auto still.
No, I have a lot more control with the Osmo. Not as much control as I would like to have, but I have a lot more control. I'm never using a neutral density filter on the Osmo unless we're outside.
Right.
But like people will see in our upcoming video, 5 unique ways to use the Osmo. We have the we have the ND16 and ND8 filter on the Osmo whenever we're outside. But whenever we're inside, always just using the clear glass, not using any filters. My settings are pretty similar. It really comes down to style. So I'll go back to these style settings for everyone so you guys can see again. And also, guys, my color I have set to D-Log. So you can use none or art. So none is good. D-Log is a little bit flatter. Why do you film in D-Log? You get more of a cinematic kind of film look. You also have more ability to push it in post. So I'm always filming it.
What does that mean, push it in post? Like be more creative, kind of push the envelope? Is that what you mean?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Imagine this, right? If your whites are too white, there is no data. There is no information in the whites. So we couldn't bring the whites down because they'd be overexposed. And there's data in every color. So what we're doing is we're increasing the amount of data so that way we can play more with the colors.
So more flexibility, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
And for everyone who's editing their own footage and not outsourcing, John, what was the name of that plugin that you use? Now, this plugin, why I love this plugin, Rob, this is for Final Cut Pro. This plugin has presets for the Inspire. It has presets for some of the DJI cameras.
That's cool.
So if you don't want to color grade every single clip that you put into your timeline, this plugin saves a gargantuan amount of time.
So what's the plugin?
Film Convert is the plugin. So, but also, $200. That was really loud. It is $200 for the plugin itself. But you're not going to spend a ridiculous amount of money like on DaVinci Resolve. So, but it's something I learned for all those guys who are excited about the Blackmagic camera that was actually announced at last year's NAB. But I think we're going to really be able to play with it more this year. That camera, if you buy any Blackmagic camera, you get the free little key. It's like a USB key that you need to use DaVinci Resolve, because DaVinci Resolve is one of those programs you can't just hack. You can't just download it because you need a physical key to open the program.
Smart.
But if you buy a Blackmagic camera, you get one of those.
Cool.
So if you are flying big industrial rigs, if you're flying, high-grade cameras, Blackmagic micro camera is definitely something to look at. I haven't played with one, so don't ask me what I think about it because I honestly have no idea.
So one last question as it relates to settings. In the event you were going to use, say, your Sony on the interior, would you even do that anymore?
Oh yeah, totally. Because the Sony has much better low light capability. That's the disadvantage with the Osmo. And what I mean with low light capability is when we're shooting in literally low light, where everything is not bright and flooded with light, you get a lot of noise again in the image.
Sure.
But just like Eric said, all these cameras are using the same sensor and the same programming, so it shouldn't be news to anyone.
Got it. So just really, really quickly, what would your settings be on the Sony on the interior? Can you even do that quickly and run it down?
Because it's different for every room.
Okay.
Because it depends on, do you have light coming through the window? How many interior lights do you have? Where are your shadows? There's just so much that goes into it.
We need to teach people those idiosyncrasies.
I know. That's why we're working on that class, Rob.
Cool.
Didn't I just finish that outline and all the steps for the real estate videography stuff?
Yes.
Come on, give me some credit here.
No, tons of credit. I'm just saying. I'm not criticizing. Just saying it's time.
All right, Rob, what are your camera settings?
My camera settings are...
So when you're flying the Sima around, what are your camera settings?
I don't have time to go into it. They're really complex.
You know what, Rob? Just thank you for being so honest. We all appreciate it.
I'm just here to draw out of you, Paul. That's my role, right? I don't know this crap, but I enjoy learning from you. I really do.
Crap. That really sends a good message.
Oh, come
to the
on.
audience.
You know what I mean.
Well, thanks for Rob. We do get tips on being bald, so if you need those, you can ask those too.
Absolutely.
But
the best razor.
Make sure you just Google the answer. Don't send it to us. If you have a drone question, though, please go to Ask Drone You. And I will say, thanks to our caller who called in with this question. Wasn't as nice as I could have liked it.
If you're gonna yell at us, at least use an accent.
But yeah. But you know what? I like his honesty.
Oh,
and
no,
the fact that he said thank you. I'm not going to be overly sensitive about it. I know you might, but I'm not going to.
I'm really broken up, but I really do hope that we've answered Todd's question. I know that he might be looking for something a little more specific, but frankly, that's just not possible.
Well, like, here's the thing. If you're flying an X5, it's totally different. Like, this conversation would be completely different because we would be saying, all right, well, it's super sunny outside, so let's put our f-stop at F11, our ISO at 100 or 120. Our shutter speed is going to be 1/60 if we're shooting at 30 frames per second. We're going to have an ND32 neutral density filter on. We're going to rack focus to this point. We're going to do this, and this. And there's just so much more control on the X5, which is why you gotta, poop or get off the pot and just get us one, Rob. I don't know what is taking so long.
I'm just getting off the pot, Paul.
Well, if we didn't have a sponsor who, lived up to his...
Anyways, we'll get it figured out. So thank you, Todd, very much for the question. And keep an eye out for the courses where we will go into more detail on the very things that I think you're looking for. And
so
experiment.
Should we tell people how the courses are changing on the website? I mean, a lot of people are
not yet.
Have seen the new website.
Yeah.
And we are working on a very specific way to put out more content more frequently, which changes the structure of some things.
Absolutely. And I think people they're gonna like it. I think it's gonna be a nice flow, a learning flow for people, for lack of a better way to say it right now.
I also think it's gonna give us an Apple-like competitive advantage because of how fast this industry moves. So I think the way that we're doing this is actually very smart.
I'm excited about it.
I had a long dream about it last night. And then I watched American Geniuses with Bill Gates and hey, did you know where the first computer's from?
No. Albuquerque.
That's right.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm impressed, Rob. On that bombshell, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.